I think it's, man, when we think about raising kids and doing that, I mean, I think it's great. All right, so we've talked about some different things, marriage, family. All right, let's talk about something. Let's talk about money.
Yes.
Okay, now money is important.
Yes,
okay,
it
it's hard to make it without it. Okay, money's important. But and I know from a ministry point, we talk about when we talk about keys and nuggets that will help you financially. I know we should pay our tithes and we should give in the offering and we should help in missions. I got that, man.
Yes, sir.
But I know some people that have paid their tithes, gave in the offering, but still live a life of destitute and always barely making it through.
Yes.
So you're not there. You've done well. You and Carlene have done well. You've planned. I feel like with all of my heart, you get your power bill paid, your water bill paid, you get to buy groceries. I feel like that's okay. All right. I had a man tell me one time, he said, I'm praying God will move for me financially. And I don't know why he won't. And I said, well, hold on a second. If Appalachian Power can't trust you, why would God trust you?
Right.
Okay.
Good point.
So anyway, what are some keys you found in life financially?
Financially is me and Carlene. Now I know, and I'm not trying to upset anybody, but I know that some marriages, they say, now this money's my money and that money's your money.
Mm-hmm.
And now me and Carlene, we've always just put it into one big pile.
Right.
And of course we've done the spiritual aspect.
Right.
We've tithed,
I understand.
Tithed from the time we got married, even
Right.
before we got married. And so that's been a blessing to us. But
Right.
investment,
Mm-hmm.
investment and sometimes just looking at things that you want to buy, but you're thinking, okay, I might want that right now.
Yeah.
But what about just holding on? My mom always
Right.
said this to me. This is what my mom, talking about that old school wisdom. She said, if anything ever looks better to you than money, you need to turn your eyes away from it. That's what Mom would say.
Right.
She's always like,
Oh, yeah,
keep
yeah,
that money,
yeah,
keep
yeah.
that money.
Yeah.
So we've invested. We did, the real estate, and Carlene, she works for communities in schools. So we've always tried to, and of course I'm a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always tried to, have different sources,
Right.
different ways of different avenues, different
Right.
streams.
Uh-huh.
Because like you, I have seen people, Brother John, that they paid their tithes, they did their offerings, and they were always destitute.
Right.
And I said, something's wrong there.
Right.
Something's wrong there. And I think we have to, I think it's called being a good steward.
Right. Yes, sir.
Being a good steward of what God gives you and the investments and holding back sometimes, because I know people that would think that just because they paid their tithes and offerings, they could go out and buy a lavish house and do this and do that. And God's going to take care of me. And
Right.
they find out it don't go so easy.
I think the worst investment's a car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's one of the biggest things that we turn around and it's easy to buy something. I mean, and I'm all right for new vehicles, but both of my vehicles are paid for. They got, over 100,000 miles, 120, 150,000 miles, but I take care of them.
Right.
And because now they're worth something to me.
Right.
But it's so easy to keep pouring your money into a vehicle, and you need something to drive. I'm not saying that, but I mean, sometimes people you can go so far past what you really can afford.
Yes, sir.
Pencil and paper don't lie. Too. You can sit there. I've seen people pray. We had a young lady in church one time. She was always praying God somebody would give her a car.
Right.
And I said, ma'am, I've looked at your income. We talked about it before. How would you pay the insurance on that car? How would you pay the tax and taxes? Could you buy the gas for a car? If tomorrow, I said, wouldn't you be better to spend $3 and ride that bus?
Yes.
Where are you going?
Right.
What do you really want to do?
Right.
And I said, or if you spent $100 a month riding a taxi.
Right.
I said, I told my kids, I said, if you want to buy something, I don't care what it is. If you take 6 months, put that money back.
Right.
Put that money back. If your payment is $1,000 a month, put that money back. See if you can stand it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you at the end, you either have $6,000 or you have $6,000 to pay down.
That's right.
And
that's good.
Jerry McCann. One time I bought it. He was my friend. Jerry was. I love Jerry. And,
Great guy.
And I bought a car one time, and he tricked me into financing it for 9 months.
Right.
That was a lot to do.
Oh yeah.
I was sweating blood.
Oh yeah.
For 9 months, he said, John, let's do it. And then if you can't do it, come in, we'll change it.
Right.
He said, but let's start out with 9, and I did, and I paid that thing off, and I was so happy at the end of 9 months.
Oh, yes.
Okay, but I mean, I think when we look at, like you're sharing, at finances, get you a budget in some place you know where you're at.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
and don't, the biggest thing is don't buy things you really don't need.
Right.
And I know that's hard because now at 3 o'clock in the morning we can go on Amazon
And buy it.
I ain't even gonna mention Temu.
Yeah.
Temu's always telling me what I need,
Yes.
and so I have to get it. But I mean, I didn't know I even needed those battery jumper cables. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I mean, not buying stuff that you really don't need is
Right.
not always an easy thing.
Right. And it's true. One time, me and Carlene laughed. We were on a 3-day fast. We were young Christians, right? So we wasn't thinking straight. We wasn't thinking straight at all. And we had went on a 3-day fast. Our whole youth ministry had went on a 3-day fast. This was very early on. And so I blamed it on the fast.
Yeah.
We bought a Camry. We bought a Camry that we didn't factor in. We were newly married,
Right,
young, and
right.
she wanted that Camry. And we were so hungry. I'm blaming it on the hunger. Her hunger got the best of her. She got tricked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just was rebellious and we bought the Camry. And we struggled.
Yeah.
We struggled because we were newly married. And you know what it's like when you
Yeah.
first get married.
Yeah.
You know, you're just trying to chug along
Yeah.
and get some momentum. And so we've often laughed about that 72-hour fast that we did and the Camry that came with it.
Yeah.
But God delivered. He was faithful, Brother John. He delivered.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's beautiful. I'm telling you something. There's so many great things that come through in life that, I don't know, are interesting. When you talk about finances, because it affects everything. Affects your sleep, affects
Yes.
your relationship with your husband and wife, and when you're under the gun. And I
Yes.
know there's different seasons in life. You know what
Yes.
I mean? I know that you got to buy a house sometimes, and there's things that you do, and you go along. It's so neat. When Janice and I first got married, I was living in one room, $150 a month, in the bottom of these people's house. Great deal. These little ladies would make my bed for me and leave me candy, wash my clothes. And then when I got Janice, they got a little upset at me. They wasn't happy because she had come into the mix. But we were making very good money, both her and I were at that point. And we just didn't have any bills.
Yeah.
And we would had our payday back, and I had one of those Quaker State things that the top comes off, you can put money in. It looked like
Yes.
oil. Why would anybody think I had a quart of oil in my dresser? But we would put our check in there, and it was, but we come through all kinds of phases. They cut my water off one time, 3 times in 1 year in the house I lived in.
Right.
Because I was out ministering for $10 a night. And, places, and I just couldn't pay the water bill.
Right.
I'd come home and have to go out, and I had one of those tools. I turned my water on. Everybody could take a shower and a bath, the kids, and we'd turn it back off the next day.
Right.
But I mean, we just didn't have it, but we kept pushing through.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes there's things in life you've got to just bear down financially and keep pushing.
Right.
Know that book you have, that payment book, they don't hardly send them out anymore.
Right.
There's an end. There's a last page.
Amen.
And just say, all right. And
Yes.
you got to do that.
He sits in